So I know from speaking with you that a virtual learning environment is not the exact same as a learning management system.
That's right.
So what role does a VLE have within an organization? What can it play?
Yeah, I mean, it can do many different things. And it's important to note because the VLE has a lot of learning management system features in it. So it's got curriculum-based learning, you can create learning pathways, it's got, the ability to test and measure retention on topics. So it's got a lot of the trimmings of an LMS, but it truly is built differently. And it's built around engagement. So you gotta remember, the virtual learning environment is built on a platform that was originally called a vShow, or a virtual show. And that platform was built back in the last global economic downturn when hotels in Vegas were sitting empty, when people like Cisco and the like were holding their massive conferences that tons of people used to fly down to go to. Travel budgets were slashed, and they needed to find a way of creating a virtual experience that more closely resembled those conferences. And so in doing so, they created something that was spatial, that had various rooms that people would go into. And they wanted people to continue to explore within their conference rather than simply come to the one thing that they want to go to. Because online, what we do is we search what we want and then we go and we get it, right? And so they wanted them to explore, and that's what happened. People would come to them and they would stay longer than they might on a regular website. And another big thing about a conference was the ability for people to interact with one another while they're there, right? Exchange V cards, chat with one another, network, if you will.
It's a huge reason why people go.
That's right. And so that needed to be built in as well. So after that occurred, the vShow platform still happens. We still do those, but it became a very attractive tool for learning and development teams because the spatial design and the way that someone navigates through it keeps learners on the content longer. And if they're there longer, they're going to consume more learning content, which is a big struggle. And then the other element of it is that, generally you have an LMS or you have an online learning system because you have a geographically dispersed workforce, right? And a lot of times that's your field force or your sales force. Well, an enterprise sales rep does most of their territory planning either at 6 in the morning or at 8 o'clock at night, right? They're not doing it between kind of like 9 to 5.
Peak hours.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's when learning and development staff are in the office doing their job and or product and or marketing is doing their job. So by creating a secure peer-to-peer experience within the learning platform, you start to have members of your organization speaking to one another and becoming resourceful in how they get access to this content. So although it doesn't actually, I've seen it act as an LMS in places. The most commonly we see it when you want to highlight a particular initiative. So leadership development or a new product or service, and you want to isolate it outside of your existing learning management system, and you want to create a buzz and a lot of engagement around it. You might deploy a VLE strategy around that. The other big place I've seen it here in Canada is when there is a global learning management system that has content that is not Canadianized, right? So you can access certain things there, but when it comes to your specific products or the framework of the market in Canada, the VLE can be a layer in front of that LMS that is providing the CanCon or the Canadian content for them. And then the last place where it makes a lot of sense is if you've got people who aren't part of your organization who you're training. So if you have a captured audience of channel partners, financial advisors, agents, whatever it might be, and you need to provide them with educational content of any kind, you can't always give them access to your internal learning management system. You need to have something that is external facing. And so the LMS the VLE or the virtual learning environment is something that can be spun out for that external audience, providing them with a lot of that great content.